Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out ProRevenge. Story 1. I'm not the vice principal anymore, okay? Okay, so this happened at the end of this school year. I posted what was going on in the r/teacher group and several of the people there told me to post what happened in here. This story is in 4 parts and I apologize for the length. I also apologize for any teacher slang I use, as it is like second nature to use it, just like military cargo was when I was in the military. Basically, I was told that all the assistant/vice principals in the district, other Han at the high school, were being let go and a teacher on assignment, Toa, was going to take our jobs. I was not heartbroken over this, but was treated badly by the new admin team taking my job and my principal's job. Also, I tried to help my staff on my way out and it seems my bosses cared more about their images than my staff's happiness. So here is the story. Part 1. So none of the other admin in my district had received our contracts for the coming school year yet. I was wondering what was going on, but I heard rumors about a pay scale shift and that was the reason for it. I found out Wednesday what is actually happening. Every assistant principal and vice principal in the district, why we have 2 different titles, I have no idea, is not getting renewed contracts, except the ones at the HS, their positions is being eliminated, and their jobs are being replaced with a new position that pays a teacher's salary and a $2,000 stipend. They are replacing the APS with learning coordinators. Apparently, the budget is the given reason, but I also heard rumors from someone at the district office. Each of us APS/VPS were scheduled to meet with one of the assistant supers Wednesday. Though it was about our contracts and we were correct. When I arrived, the acting superintendent was there with the head of HR. I was told about the elimination of my position, but not the reasons why. I was then given an option for the coming school year. I could go back into the classroom, I could work in the district office, or I could apply an interview for the new positions that is replacing my job. WTF. I wouldn't care one lick if I was told that my position had been cut completely and I needed to go back into the classroom. I love the classroom. I miss teaching full-time. However, to tell me to apply an interview for a job I already have is bullshit. We were told to give the district our answers by Friday and they would draw up contracts or schedule interviews. Wednesday afternoon, I went to see Tony, who is an assistant superintendent and one of the few decent leaders in the school district. I heard from Tony that there was an internal shake-up, but he wasn't allowed to talk about it or even give me a hint about what happened. However, one of the assistant supers was being reassigned, aka demoted, to being the principal of my current school. My principal was not coming back due to health reasons. The superintendent was released from his contract, and my school's new learning coordinator position had already been filled. Who filled it? A school counselor from one of the high schools who just happens to be a friend and lackey of the assistant sub. That is now the new principal. So, early this morning I gave them my answer. I decided that I didn't need until Friday to decide. I tried to make sure I sounded professional, but I made sure that my message was getting across by speaking with authority. I went into the acting superintendent's office and told him that I thought that laying off a bunch of people so they could hire others to do the same job but at less pay was bullshit. I told him that the way the school district handled certain situations was idiotic. I then gave several examples. I next told him that he was going to ruin a perfectly good school with an amazing team of educators by putting a lazy, mean, parent-pleasing person in as its new principal and letting her put a lackey in as her second in command. I said that she was as useless as a screen door on a submarine and as mean as Dolores Umbridge. I finished the 3-minute speech by stating that I will work my ass off and finish the school year strong. I will prep things for the next school year so that the teachers have an easier time. I also let him know I would never work at or recommend the district to anyone ever again. Then I left, letting him know that I expect an amazing letter of recommendation by the end of the school day Friday afternoon, since I earned it for my service the past few years. So what am I going to do now? Well, I called up an old friend Wednesday who is currently a principal at a STEAM charter school that's part of a chain of charter STEAM schools and asked if he had a teaching position available. He's been asking me every year for the past 5 years to come work for him. He told me he had 3 openings and I could have my pick of them. So next year, I will be a drumroll please. 6th grade teacher. And I am very happy about it. I even get to design my curriculum as long as it meets state standards. I could apply elsewhere for admin positions, but I think I need a break from school leadership. I need to love my work again like I used to as a teacher. Yes, there are many challenges and sometimes I hated going to work, but I do love being a teacher. I feel bad for my current staff because the regime change will hit them hard, but there is nothing I can do about it. I wish I could help them. The most I could do would be to take a teaching position at my current school, but then I would be miserable with them and be helpless to do anything to aid them. So, for myself and my daughter, who I love more than anything, I am making the move to a new school and going back to what I enjoy doing. Teaching. I am even bringing my daughter to my new school to start next year as a 5th grader. I asked her if she wanted to stay at her current school or go to the STEAM school with me and she wants to go with me. She was excited since she has visited there several times and loves the technology room, the robotics class, and the science labs. Plus she is friends with some of the kids there already. As a goodbye to my staff, I am going out this weekend and I am going to buy some nice letter paper and scratcher tickets. I am going to write short, individualized goodbye to each of my staff members and at the end I will include the following words. I'm giving you some scratcher tickets. My hope is that you are as lucky scratching them as I have been lucky to have worked with you. So that's it. I have to finish my contract, but at the end of June, I am free. I am looking forward to teaching full-time again and having a boss who will let me just do my job and not interfere. I don't think I want to work in administration again, but maybe after a few years I will decide to work as an AP again. Note: sorry for any spelling/grammar/punctuation errors. I am writing this while making my morning rounds. Part 2. So I put together goodbye gifts for all my staff and I'll be handing them out Friday, their last day with kids. They have a bunch of goodies that I posted about weeks ago. I was think this weekend about how to give the finger one more time to the district office and help my teachers out. Even in a small way. So I came up with it Sunday night. My district requires each teacher to attend additional training throughout the year. These are outside of the regular staff development trainings. They are run by district staff, SPED teachers, and admin. The training normally lasts 1 to 3 hours and the teacher gets a certificate for the time spent in the training. Each teacher is required to attend 24 hours of these before the end of the school year. Most teachers take them over the summer, if they are offered, so they don't have to take them during the school year. So yesterday morning, before work, I was making copies of the certificates for all the courses I have run here the past few years. Classroom management strategies, lockdown procedures, social studies strategies, math strategies, reading comprehension, and environmental print. I am going to fill them out with each of the teachers' names and number of hours. I am adding all the times I ever spoke to the staff about these topics and putting down hours to correspond, rounding up to the nearest hour-ish. Wouldn't you know, each of those topics was 3 to 5 hours in length. Each staff member will have exactly 24 hours worth of training. I filled out the dates of the training for the 2022/2023 school year. Oh, and I have an attendance sheets with all of their names and have them marked as being present. Asterisk note: I checked with district and since I am still an administrator into the summer, I am allowed to run these training over the summer before I leave. Now, they can have their summer to themselves and not worry about taking classes during the school year. They can if they wish, but 99% of teachers here hate the mandatory training hours. I hope the staff likes the present. Part 3. Since Friday, I am no longer a school administrator. I technically have another week to work, but I took vacation during that time because, well, screw them, Now, I spent the last week packing up, giving aid and comfort to my, now former, staff, and causing problems for the new administrators who are assholes. Now, besides giving the entire staff a year free from additional PDS, I wasn't planning on causing any more problems. Just quietly leave and drive off into the sunset. Shane style. But no. Apparently I don't deserve a quiet week. The new principal, demoted from assistant super, and her new teacher on assignment, Toa, decided, for some reason, to be rude to me. There was only one response to that: I aimed to misbehave. How were they rude to me, you ask? First off, they ordered me to hurry and clean out my office. Apparently, the Toa wanted to start redecorating my office. I was literally told, get all your personal stuff out of here ASAP. She wants her office now. I still had a week to work there and actual work to do. Second, the new principal tried to steal my personal chair and my personal office supplies and decorations. That chair was a gift to me from a friend. I found her just wheeling it out of my office and into hers. My desk supplies and a banner from my wall were stacked on its seat. I told her that it was my personal chair, not the district's. She said okay. The very next morning, I found it missing. She had moved it into her office after I left for the day. Third, I was given a list of tasks to complete by Friday by the Toa, who is in no way, shape, or form my boss. These were not my job to do and are in fact the incoming admin's duty to complete. Stuff the new admin are supposed to do. Things like, put together a new staff packets, schedule next year's PDS, fill out and submit request forms, etc. Finally, I was talked down to every single day by the new admin team. I was spoken to as though I were the hired help and they were the royal bitches. Seriously, I speak to a waitress that messes up my order with 20x the amount of respect that they showed me. They actually tried to get my attention by snapping their fingers at me. Like that would work. Asterisk note, the new principal also has made some pretty anti-LGBTQ+. Story 2. I'll come back so long as Larry isn't there. Got permission to share this from my buddy who is a software engineer. Background. To give you some background on my friend Tim, made up name, he has been programming since he was like 7 years old. Tim said by the time he got to college he breezed through most of his comp sci classes because a lot of the content they were covering he had already mastered years prior. Tim is an excellent programmer. Tim's career has been quite successful. He's worked for Google, Facebook, Amazon, and finally a hedge fund. The story starts at the hedge fund. Tim works a lot with AI technology, and at this hedge fund he was the lead programmer manager who spearheaded an effort to optimize their AI that helped them complete literally millions of trades a day. To say his work had a massive impact, was an understatement. All of this is going on with COVID-19 in the background. Due to COVID-19 they went to a work-from-home model, where my friend Tim kept working. During the work-from-home, Tim was looking around his fancy $4,500 NYC apartment and wished for things like a yard, a heated pool, a nice 3-car garage, and not living in a high-rise. It dawned on Tim that he could leave NYC. Tim moves to Michigan. So Tim moved back to his hometown in Michigan, where he bought himself a really nice home with a heated pool, a 3-car garage, a nice yard, and guess what the yard had in it? A mother-in-law suite which was essentially a 2-bedroom, 1-bath second home on the property of his main home which he turned into his man cave. It's actually pretty sick. Oh yet and his mortgage payment was far less than his 4.5k a month rent. Like half. Tim spent the rest of his COVID-19 work from home pounding out projects, etc. He never actually informed his employer on an official basis he moved, he just kept working. Then COVID-19 ended. COVID-19 is finally over, back to the office, or? Tim boss, Larry calls him up and goes, alright Tim, on Monday we are starting work back at the office, and Tim goes, yeah, about that I moved to Michigan. Larry is shocked and goes, you didn't even ask if you could do that. And Tim basically said I didn't know I needed your permission to move in a sarcastic as fuck way. Larry insists that Tim needs to move back to NYC, or he won't have a place on the team. Tim says he's been doing the exact same work from home at a high level for the past year, he's willing to travel to NYC for a few meetings a year on his own dime, but he feels his quality of life is so much higher outside of NYC he has no desire to live in NYC, to which Larry said if Tim doesn't have any desire to live in NYC then he has no desire to keep Tim employed. Now dear Reddit, what do you think a talented senior programmer with over a decade of experience, who specializes in AI technology is going say to a response like that? If you're thinking he quit, you'd be absolutely right, he quit. Maintaining complex code can be hard. Now anyone that has done any programming knows that sometimes the best person to maintain the code is the person who wrote the code. There's logic, there's thought processes, there's so much that goes into programming that can be so individualistic it can be hard for someone to take over a code base they didn't write. John, CEO, enters the picture. 6 weeks goes by, when John calls Tim. John is the CEO of the hedge fund. John gets Tim to agree to consider coming back, so that's when John suggests they fly Tim to NYC and he sits down with John. Tim however flipped the switch and said no. How about you fly out to Michigan and we discuss this? Tim said he said that because he wanted to establish if he was going come back, it was going be him, working from Michigan, and if he was going talk his employment it was going be done in Michigan. John agreed, and 2 days later flew out to meet with Tim. Tim sits down and John says they really need him, because he provided a lot of value to the organization and the programming team is struggling. John offers Tim the opportunity to come back with a 20% pay cut, since he won't be living in NYC and John called that a cost of living adjustment. To which John said no, I want a 15% raise above what I was earning. John sits back and responds the reason we pay what we pay is because we ask you to live in NYC and we understand that's an expensive city to live in, to which Tim says you pay what you pay, and you pay it because I am worth it. If I wasn't worth what you pay, you wouldn't be paying me. Now my first condition is if you want me back it'll be a 15% raise. John goes and second. The second condition is I'll come back so long as Larry isn't there. John sighs, you're asking for too much, to which Tim goes, you don't need to bring me back if you don't want to, I'll be fine elsewhere. John goes, I'll talk to the partners. Tim says my offer is good till Friday. John goes, what do you mean? Tim says next Monday is when I'm going start looking for work, this offer is good until Friday, it was Tuesday. John leaves. That Thursday the phone rings, it's John. In conclusion, Tim, we are transferring Larry to a different fund, he won't be working with you anymore and we are fine with giving you a 15% raise, can we send you an offer letter for you to sign? Tim said of course, and Larry is really gone. John goes, yes, you will never need to interact with Larry ever again. That was at the start of this year, Tim hasn't been in NYC, hasn't heard from Larry, hasn't seen Larry on any communications, etc. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.